Hi everyone. I just wanted to let you guys know that I know that a lot of you have been, sending lists or reaching out to, media such as YouTubers, papers, things like that for the last couple months. At first, I was, debating on just pausing this all and seeing the outcome of, the trials. I know with a lot of other parents going through this very same reality, that might seem, somewhat selfish to not keep sharing the story of what had happened with my son and what's going on legally here. Um, and, getting more word out on how common this is when there's other parents, such as, from the US who have had their children abducted, which I will speak on later, that are actively and keep actively sharing their stories to warn others and promote change. I guess for, the last month or two, I kind of, did get some offers to share my story further on other platforms. But I was really holding off on that, just because I didn't want the judge to see it as, me doing it out of resentment. But with everything, with the court being totally separate from this at this point, because nothing is going to change an outcome with a judge, no matter what I put out in the media. Um, it's more so just to spread awareness and let people know how common this is, as well as, you know, the fact that this is happening with both children being brought into the country and here as well. I kind of, want other parents to be warned so they know what they're getting themselves into with getting married here. Not that getting married in general is wrong or getting married with someone with a different nationality is wrong, but at least I hope more people are aware of the differences between your protective rights as a parent or a spouse in other countries, such as my home country, the US, versus in Korea, and therefore the lack of those protections within a marriage, as well as what you might just experience as a foreigner dealing with the law here. So, I did get reached out to by a paper, a pretty major one. I won't state what it is until I reach back out to them, because I was kind of reluctant to do so until court was finalized. They've covered, a lot of stories on foreigner discrimination when it comes to other topics, so we'll get into that later once that's done and finalized, because I don't want to ruin, something that would be a good opportunity to get this story brought to light, and warn others and, advocate for this, to have reform and to be changed before it ever happens. I have also had, two pretty decent sized YouTube channels, pretty big sized YouTube channels reach out, or sub channels reach out. So I should have an interview with one of those next week, and then the other one they're still scheduling, which I again will not mention which ones those are. But I just want to let you guys know that I am taking your advice and I'm going to be more proactive again on this. I really don't think it will change any outcome with the case in court, so it's not so much so for getting my son back anymore, because I know that the Korean court just works the way it works and that's not really going to help anything. But it's more so, I've heard so many of you going through the very same thing, that there is never going to be any change with the law in this country or the discrimination towards foreign parents until it's more spoken of. And, I've seen so many spouses feel silenced because of defamation laws, and I just really, really want this to be something that, if I had to experience this for a year of my life and my children did, that it has some positive outcome for others. So anyway, you might be seeing those posted soon. I will let you guys know. I did actually have a very big interview that I was supposed to be going to Seoul for with a major news station a couple months ago. But what will you know, with how defamation works in Korea, and with a lot of the news stations, not to be rude to them, but they will contact you on your story. They'll seem very worried. They'll keep saying, we only want you to, let us be the first to post this. And a lot of the times, same as with law enforcement, same with, Korea in general, a lot of those people who might be reaching out to you with your story, they just want the next headline. And I'm not saying this in any offense, because a lot of these people are really reporters and they want to showcase, true events on what's going on. But a lot of them from, Megan had shared my story and my son's story on her YouTube before. She did used to work for, a major news outlet before. She had even stated to me on that date, not quoting her, but that in Korea it's kind of hard with the media to get stuff out because of defamation laws. So with these news stations, I had a major one reach out the day before I was supposed to go to Seoul to their headquarters to actually film this. They were stating that they would be able to leave any identifiers out, that it would be perfectly fine. And then they suddenly changed their mind and they wanted final outcomes of the court results, despite all the proof, all the evidence, and having, like a Songchi on one of them. So they wanted that. I provided as much as I could. And they said that they would reschedule, and then they kind of just dropped off. With the other ones, I had another 2 really big, news stations reach out as well, and they kind of just reached out almost 1, 2, 3 times with different, reporters reaching out from the same exact news outlet, and then they would just drop conversation. They would go from email, where they kind of vent you if they want to cover your story, and then they would go to text message or calling, asking questions, saying they'll get back with me, and that they wanted to try to run it in next week's story, and then totally dropped communication when I would send updates. And while I know that a lot of their excuses were that they didn't have an English-speaking reporter that was fluent enough to fully get the details from me, I did provide everything translated in Korean as well, and my lawyer had spoken with them. So it seemed more of just they thought it was too risky with the way that the laws work here in Korea to put it on the news, or maybe another story came along. I'm not quite sure. So just be aware that this is another, kind of hurdle that you will go through if you're going through discrimination, parental child abduction, abuse, anything like that in Korea. If you're trying to go to a news outlet with that, it's more than likely never going to get shared on the news. You will see every year, every 5 years on YouTube of where there was a news, broadcast, for example. I think she was Vietnamese, excuse me if I'm wrong, that because there was actual video footage of the abuse happening, no doubtedly, and you could tell that he was the perpetrator, and there was a child right nearby. So in those cases, you might see them go ahead and without a court order or something like that to air it on the news, but usually has to fit some kind of agenda with, at the time, I think they were talking about, the changes in laws that needed to happen with, abusers not being able to marry foreigners again. So it has to kind of go with whatever's going on with the media at that time. In my case, I did notice that a lot of these stations were reaching out right after the famous mukbang star had the abuse, come to light, and then a little bit after that, they all kind of just dropped off as if it was just kind of a trend to go along with, not to seem disrespectful, but we all know that the news is for profit. They do make profit based on ratings, so what else can you expect? So that is another reason why I have tried to focus more on YouTubers. I know they're for profit as well, somewhat. As well as writers, because I feel like you have more luck with them actually wanting to share your story and wanting to help with justice wise. And that is why I've kind of just kept it in my own hands as well, for just keeping updates on what's going on and making more people aware with my channel, despite it being quite small. So anyway, I just want to let you guys know why you keep stating, over the last couple months why I haven't gone to a news outlet. The 3 major ones you can think of in Korea have already contacted me, some of them 2-3 times, and it just never goes anywhere. Or maybe they wanted to contact, other parties involved in the incidents, and then they just kind of dropped it from there. Probably there's a reason for that, I'm not quite sure. So you guys will, likely be seeing some kind of, YouTube channel with the story of my son being more brought to light soon, and some updates in it as well. But there might actually be an article out as well within the next month or so about everything going on with, my son's case, meaning, how he was taken, how parental child abduction is handled in Korea, and not just only my story, but other parents who have gone through the same as well. I'm not quite sure yet because I do need to reach out to the writer again, but I will keep you guys updated, and I promise that I'm not just sitting here idly. Have a good night.